Time now then for our second presentation. I think Mark touched on the fact, Kevin touched on the fact that we've got the team from aico here in Oswestry, the home safety business, Shropshire's reigning company of the year, to tell you more about it and what they're doing. Let's welcome Ryan Evans.
Morning everybody, how are we doing? My name is Ryan, I work for aico obviously. I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about our sustainability journey. Unfortunately, as we mentioned, I don't have the experience or the years that, such as Kevin does. We're coming at it from very different angles here. What I do have is kind of 3 years in a brand new building, looking at the operational maintenance of it, looking at the kind of mistakes that were made when that building was built without sustainability in mind. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what we did, some of the lessons that we've learned, and then where we're going to go from there. So to begin, our very first steps. So the very first thing we did, like I say, none of us are experts at aico, unfortunately, about sustainability. So we decided we're going to surround ourselves kind of with experts that know what they're talking about. We need to identify exactly where our emissions are coming from, look at the operational improvements that we can make to actually kind of reduce our energy usage, etc., and then really communicate and collaborate with the people that work at aico, our colleagues, and people in the surrounding areas as well. So the very first thing, as I said, identifying where our emissions came from. So we actually engaged with a consultant, an external consultant. He looked at our carbon footprint, basically. Work out where your emissions come from. As you can see in our emissions split pie chart there, electricity is a massive part. Makes up about a third of our scope 1 and 2 emissions. So a really big part. That just really helped us to identify kind of the main action areas, as you say, the low-hanging fruit, where we could pick off the easy wins early, and then where to develop on from there. Secondly, we decided, again, we'll speak to our consultant, Alan, and to be able to hold ourselves kind of accountable to our goals, we need to make this public. So we set an ambitious target to be carbon neutral by 2030. Again, working with our consultant, that was what was kind of feasible for us. So yeah, again, just to kind of hold ourselves accountable to our goals, make sure, as I say, be transparent to the public. Everybody knows kind of what we're doing. It's a massive part of what you need to do in kind of net zero is transparency, as Deb mentioned before, with greenwashing, etc. You've got to be transparent about what you're doing. Engaging people. So Lily and I are sustainability leads at aico, with 2% of the workforce, basically. What's going to be easiest is if we can engage everybody in aico. You know, the first thing we decided to do was kind of work with a single person from each member of the team. So again, that takes up to maybe 10% of the workforce. Hopefully then they can go off, engage their entire team, and you're looking at a much wider range of people all working on the same thing. Makes your life a lot easier, means that Lily and I have to do less work, which is always great. After that, again, we looked into electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles, again, using our external consultant. He did what we call a feasibility study. So basically, we've got a lot of people out on the road. They travel a lot of miles. Basically, we calculated exactly how many miles each of those did, looked at a kind of electric vehicle that they could use, see if their home was suitable, workarounds and things like that. So we've now actually committed to be purchasing all electric vehicles from 2025 onwards. We currently have a fleet of around 30 vehicles, and they are all hybrids, but we will be moving into that again. And the feasibility study says that we would be able to do it now. The infrastructure, again, is not quite there. It is moving along rapidly, which is always good. So hopefully by 2025, the entire UK will definitely be ready for our fleet of 30 to be out on the road. Renewable energy, we've heard plenty about solar this morning, so I won't dwell too long on this one. But yeah, we've now got a big 135 kilowatt array on the roof of our headquarters in Oswestry. Again, really big kind of investment, a massive project, but great fun to be a part of, really. And then again, a building management system. So as I say, our building's around 3 years old now, coming up on 4. It was built with a state-of-the-art kind of building management system in it. We can control all the air cons from a very central position. All the lights are on dimmer switches that depend on how much sunlight is entering the building. So yeah, a great kind of tool for us. We can set different ranges for people to use. But really, it's all about just kind of trying things out. So we started with quite a wide range of say, for example, I'll just talk about the aircon very briefly. We started with a wide range of temperatures that people could set it to. We monitored that over the course of kind of 4 to 6 months, looked at the ranges that people were actually using, slowly started to bring that in until we got people moaning that it was too hot or too cold, as people always will do, and then we could set the range from there. So really just kind of about fine-tuning what you've got, Not everything's going to be perfect. It's not going to be really simple. There's not a one-size-fits-all. You've got to make it work for you. You really need to monitor what you're kind of doing, your usage, things like that, and make the right choices for your business. And then communicate and collaborate, as I mentioned. So Lily and I have taken this role around 3 months ago. Before that, we kind of really struggled to basically communicate and engage our kind of colleagues to work with us on these kind of things. So this is just a quick example of our kind of program now, basically. It's our sustainability program. So we use what we call the 5 pillars of sustainability. So looking at sustainability in all these areas. And as you can see, environment there is pillar number 4. So yeah, a massive part of what we do, and trying to bring that kind of all into one kind of program so that everybody can understand it quite easily. So as I say, I've spoken quite briefly about what we've kind of done. I found when I did this presentation in the past, I didn't have this second bit. I didn't have the kind of lessons learned, and it didn't kind of sit very well. Nobody kind of took anything from it. Aico, we're quite a big company. It feels at times like we've got unlimited resources. So, I can talk about putting £100,000 worth of solar panels on the roof, and it's kind of quite easy for us. But what we have learned from that is different things that we can take away, and just simple changes that we could have made where we maybe have spent money that we didn't need to. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those now. So some people may disagree. Oh, no, not this part, sorry. So the first thing we did, as I say, was we spoke to everybody. We spoke to so many people. I think the first couple of weeks I signed up for every single event I could possibly find. I was looking at solar panels, electric vehicles, biodiversity, everything. I took it all back and I was thinking, where on earth do I even start with this? I'm looking at a carbon footprint here that tells me how much energy we're using, what our carbon emissions are. I've got all these different sources of energy, of information, and I don't even know where to begin. So what I would say is it seems like a great idea. Take on as much information as you can, but I'd probably suggest kind of pick one area to focus on first. Like I say, looking at biodiversity, or look at your energy usage, look at electric vehicles, because all that information was coming into me. As I say, I'm not an expert. I've been doing this for maybe 12 months. I had no idea where to even begin. Again, as I said, the first thing we did was our carbon footprint. Now, our carbon footprint is brilliant. Some people may disagree. It is a great tool. But I kind of think if I was in a much smaller business, would I really have needed to do a carbon footprint to begin with? I don't think so. I mean, it was a very expensive kind of tool that we took. It was very time consuming. We needed loads of information. And I mean, I don't need a carbon footprint to tell me, turn the lights off when you're finished in a room. If you're not using a computer, turn it off. Have one printer running rather than 3 at the same time. So as great a tool as it is, and I would definitely recommend doing a carbon footprint at some point. It might seem quite daunting, expensive to start with. There's really simple changes, and there's people out there everywhere that can tell you these changes without having to perform kind of this expensive tool. So I'd just say, yeah, definitely worth doing eventually. But to begin with, it's really easy. You can go back to the office now and have a look around at what you're using, and just make sure you're kind of reducing as much as you possibly can. Click it. There we go. Electric vehicles, as I say, brilliant. I absolutely love electric vehicles. I think they're great. Most people tend to disagree for some reason. Not sure why. When I first mentioned this, that we were buying electric vehicles to our specification managers out on the road, I could see every single one of their faces drop to the floor, thinking, how on earth are we going to do this? So yeah, people are very, very difficult to get on board with the electric vehicles. What we've also done is installed 10 44 kilowatt electric vehicle chargers at our headquarters in Oswestry. We thought, great, brilliant, we'll buy these, lovely, they're top of the range, perfect, exactly what we need. The guy comes over to install them. If you put all these on at the same time, you're not going to have enough energy to run your building. So we've actually had to limit all of them now to 11 kilowatt. So it's not as simple as just buying the stuff, buying electric vehicles, plug and play, as I say. It's quite a big job, it's very expensive, and it's not just as easy as plug and play. So it will get there, as I say, the infrastructure's not quite there yet. It will get there. But yeah, again, definitely speak to an expert. You can't do that yourself, unfortunately. The assumptions as well. We get invited to talk at events such as this. We do them all the time. As soon as you make that commitment to be carbon neutral, everybody thinks you're an expert. You'll have loads of people asking you questions. As I say, be transparent with people. Speak to them about exactly what you know. Like I say, I can't speak about massive energy savings. What I can speak about is the operational things that we have put in place already. Like Kevin has got a very different viewpoint from myself. So just be prepared for that. As soon as you make that commitment, people look at that and go, wow, they've made a commitment. They must know what they're doing. Unfortunately, we don't, not just yet. Engagement, as I say, people, they'll solve all your problems. They're also mostly the root of all your problems. Very, very difficult to engage people. People have got so much on their plate, especially in this day and age, just staying afloat, doing their day job. This is another thing to add on to that. You've really, really got to drive it home. I mean, Lily and I, as I say, we just started this role, and it's kind of the main point of what we need to do is get everybody in the company engaged and all working together before we start on the massive, massive projects. If we've got buy-in from everybody, it makes our lives so much easier, as I say. Technological advancement. Again, we touched on this morning. The guys did a great job up here. There's never going to be a right time, unfortunately. There's a saying, there's only two right times to have done something, 10 years ago or right now. Unfortunately, we don't have the 10-year ago option. So right now, for example, our solar panels on the roof, from the time of kind of our first conversation with Go Green, the installation took about 8-9 months in total. By the time that installation was actually done, we would have been able to fit 10% more solar panels on the roof if we'd have waited. However, if we'd have waited that long, you wait another 9 months, the technology advances. There's never going to be the perfect time. You can always look at every single kind of project that you're undertaking and think, oh, well, if I leave it another 6 months, there'll be something better. There's always going to be something better, unfortunately. The return on investment for our solar panels has come right down, as Kevin mentioned. It's now about 9 years. So, we're going to be in that building hopefully for 15, 20 years. In 9 years' time, if we really wanted to, we could take it all off, put a brand new one on, it would have paid for itself. Technology is always constantly advancing. There's going to be great things out there, but we have the tools that we need right now. They won't be as efficient as they will be in maybe 5 years' time. It needs to be done now. It needs to be started now, and you're always going to get a return on investment either way. The building management system, again, brilliant feature. Probably no issue with the BMS. It's probably more back again to the people. As soon as you take their aircon control away, they come with pitchforks and flames coming to your house trying to tell you to increase their range again. Our office is very, very open plan. Like I say, it's not a one-size-fits-all. I can't just set it to 20 degrees and let it be done with it. You get people. Somebody won't take their coat off when they're too hot, so they'll go and turn the aircon down. Another guy will be there in his shirt, absolutely freezing, whacking it back up. So, again, building management system is absolutely brilliant. But again, you've got to really engage your people and help them to kind of make all of this accessible to them. So what we try and do is put it into more common terms. For example, our solar panels on the roof will tell you how many trees is your equivalent to what your solar's generated. So make it accessible for people, not all the kind of, the difficult words basically around net zero. It can all be very confusing. So make it as accessible as you can for people so that they can really get on board with it, because otherwise you're just going to be left with a load of blank faces. aico's kind of next steps. Keep doing what we're doing. As we say, we've committed to be net zero by 2030, so big commitment. We have a roadmap, again, that we used our consultant for, so keep following that. More targeted collaborations, again, back to kind of the information side of things. Keep going on. We're not experts, so what we need to do is just keep surrounding ourselves with experts. For this electric vehicles by 2025, the purchasing from there, we can't do that ourselves. We need to speak to people. Some people know exactly what they're doing. There's somebody out there for literally everything these days. All you need to do is have a look for it. And for example, Kevin's great initiative this morning, solar panels, you might think they're a massive investment, but there are ways around it, and there's ways around most of these things. Keep developing our learning. So again, just keep getting that information in, looking at different ways we can train ourselves up and engage the colleagues and really kind of upskill them as well in more simple ways, which helps to engage the people. And just keep an eye on technology. As I say, there's always going to be a better thing out there, unfortunately. Never a right time, but I think you just need to kind of dive in and go for it. You will get a return on investment, and it will be very, very worth it in the long run. And that is all from me. Short and sweet. Thank you very much, everybody. If there's any questions, I can take some. Lily will be on the panel just after this, so feel free to send any questions her way if you like.
I've just got one. Do you have many? Great what you're doing. Do you get many businesses coming to see you what you are doing? Do you try and encourage them, because you are a big player, and for the smaller SME or medium size, what you're doing is really good, but what you're trying to do, I think it'd be great if you could just carry some other companies on that journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So, our CSR program has been like a massive part of what we've done for the kind of last 4 years. So that's all kind of community volunteering, things like that. So we get people in all the time to speak to us about that. We've got learning and development as well. But again, not the need or the want. You know, kind of people are a bit wary to come and ask, but we try and be as accessible as we can to everybody. And if there is people out there, any of you guys or anybody that you know that wants to just come and see what we do, more than happy at any time. There will be somebody there can take you around the building, talk about exactly what we've done, who we've used. If there's any questions, I mean, our door is always open. We use the facilities that we've got is open to people in Shropshire, even for just meetings and things like that. So yeah, more than welcome. But we haven't had many. Perhaps it is something that we need to kind of push out there a little bit more and make it a bit more accessible. But yeah, I mean, our door is always open. So yeah, absolutely.
Great. And I would recommend putting 7 kilowatt chargers because being a battery geek, you know, it's a lovely current to put in. And I, you know, driven up with my Nissan Leaf today, 100,000 miles on it.
Yep.
You know, I've still got 126 miles from it from when I first bought it, 164. So look after your batteries.
Yep.
The more you fast charge them, you will degrade the batteries. So they won't tell you that in the small print, but actually whacking 44 kilowatts into your batteries, you are going to shorten the life of them.
Lovely.
Good tip. I'll take that one from
Excellent. And myself. Thank you very much. No problem.
Thanks to Ryan. Thank you very much.